Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Travel and Tourism Podcast, my first season. My guest today's name has come up before on this podcast, so it's nice to finally sit down and talk to him. He worked for Club Med from 2013 to April of 2023, and his first season was in Club Med Sandpiper as team club manager. Before Club Med, he was working for Disney Cruises, and before that, he was a teacher. He was also a sports and animation manager, and he helped create a new position in Club Med in 2018 in Columbus, Ohio called Chief Happiness Manager. And if you know me, you know that I need to know all about this position. From St. Louis, please help me welcome the one and only Lance Weinhardt. Hey, Lance, how are you, sir?
Hey, Greg, I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on because your name, like I said, has come up. So it's nice to meet someone, who was already working for Club Med for 10 years like me, and that came so highly recommended from other ex-geos.
Oh, yeah, man. Nothing but love to everybody out there. And then also I've listened to your podcast even before you invited me. So it's actually nice to kind of, jump on the podcast and, just talk about what I've been up to.
Yeah, no, that would be great because you've had quite the storied career, my friend. Looking at your village list, I mentioned in your intro you were working for Disney Cruises. I always wondered what it was like, working for cruise ships. You liked working aboard Disney Cruises, correct?
I did like working on the Disney cruise ship. I found it very difficult at first. It is a brand new experience being out of the United States and that type of work ethic, type of lifestyle. You're living on the ship with the international crew. You don't know what to expect. It's just very overwhelming. But I grew to love that work ethic and the people around me, which is that international crew. It's just yeah, working on that cruise ship. It's pretty difficult, but it made me stronger at the end of it. And
Okay.
also, I was never a Disney person in my life. I was mostly Looney Tunes and Marvel, like cartoons like
Whoa,
that. It
really?
was
Okay, you
yeah,
just you just said two of my favorite things, so I
yeah. Okay.
had a feeling we should be best friends, Lance. Yeah, you said
Oh,
Looney
if
Tunes, so basically, you like Bugs Bunny and Marvel, right? So same
yeah,
as me.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Oh, if you get me on Marvel, we're not going to talk about Club Med anymore.
okay. Dang it! Well, I do have another podcast. It's a pop culture one, so maybe we'll have you on that one.
Oh, we got to get on that. No worries.
Okay. All right. Sorry, listeners, but yeah, I just got derailed there, but I'm going to try and not talk about Bugs Bunny the next hour.
Uh,
Okay.
but I was saying I was always that kind of kid growing up, more action and fun and playing around. So I was never a Disney kid. But when I worked on that Disney cruise ship for a year, I really appreciated the that culture of Disney fans, that fandom, and I got to learn all the movies, the songs, and it made me a better performer and just a better professional at the end of it.
Do you have a favorite Disney movie now that you
Uh,
grew to appreciate?
yeah, it's got to be The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Tim Burton? Is that Disney? I
Timber.
didn't know that.
It's a
Okay.
Disney movie. Yeah, a lot of
You know
people
what?
don't realize. Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's awesome.
This is
It's
Halloween. This is Halloween. Is that song from there?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's I love the main character. Yeah.
Jack, what's his name
Jack
again?
Jack Skellington.
That's right. What did
Yeah.
they have you do? What was your job on the Disney cruise?
I got on board because of my education background as a counselor. Somebody to watch the kids is like the kids club and club med type of thing. But it had an opportunity once you get on board to audition for the improv characters. So it was called what was it called? Like a host. So that was the only reason I agreed to work on the Disney cruise ship was the opportunity to be a performer. It wasn't the big main shows. I wasn't Aladdin or Peter Pan. I wasn't Mickey Mouse, the mascot costumes. It was improv characters. So the cruise ships have their own designated characters only for the cruise ships. So I did maybe 5 or 6 different type of shows a day for the kids and the adults, like a family show. So I would be one moment chef and I would cook cookies and cupcakes with kids, and I would be this chef from France and I would have a big costume. I would put my face in different ways. Another time I was a detective, solving a mystery with all the kids following me around the ship. I was a pirate one time, and I they didn't know I like to tap dance, so I had my tap dance shoes. So I was a tap dancing pirate crab for some weird reason one week. So it's just I had the opportunity to change my characters, my names for all the characters I did to do these shows. So all those Peter Pans they used to see me, they had to be Peter Pan no matter what, all the time. They couldn't go off script, but they see me and I'm just doing my own thing. And it was very freeing to have that kind of character position.
When you said you were improvising as a chef, I was so hoping you were going to say the Swedish chef from the Muppets. God, I love that guy.
That it drifted off in my I was playing around with a lot of characters, but I didn't think the kids would even know who the Swedish chef was.
What?
So
Kids don't know who the Muppets are these days?
They know the Muppets. It's just that character, and probably I couldn't even pull it off. So
I have that song memorized, so maybe we'll trade later. I'll do that song, and if you do one of your improv characters, we'll make a deal by the end of this interview. I don't mind singing the song. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now, while you were on board Disney Cruises, is it true that you and your roommate at the time on Disney Cruises both applied to Club Med?
That is correct. I got to know Eric Catlett, and he was such a nice guy. He was on the cruise ship before I was as a youth counselor with the kids clubs, and he just, brought me in. He showed me around. And at this time, this was Lance before Club Med, before the cruise ships. I was a recluse. I was very shy. I was an introvert. I still am a little bit, but I was very just alone, and I didn't really need to talk to anybody. I didn't need that. All I wanted to do was to live outside the US, try to make a living, and I wanted to be an actor. So I was just so focused. And I think he noticed that, I didn't really get along. Well, I got along with everybody. It's just, I think he noticed that maybe I needed a little help here and there. So as my roommate, of course, we got along so well. And we were both looking to get off the cruise ship after a year working. We were looking for jobs, and we were telling our coworkers the same thing. And one of our coworkers worked at the Lindeman Island Club Med when it was still around in Australia.
Really?
And she offered to, or no, she didn't offer. She asked us if we'd like to check out Club Med. And me and him had no clue what she was talking about. I really thought it was a retirement home. I thought it was Club Medicine. I didn't know what it was. So she said, take a look on the website. And I did. Then we both applied the same time together. And we both had an interview offered to us the same time. Since we were on the cruise ship, we couldn't really do much phone calls at certain times, or we couldn't travel to meet anybody. So they offered to do a Skype interview. And we both did the Skype interview in our bedroom, like little bunk bed cruise ship room, and we both had like tuxedos on.
Wow! So you really dressed up for this interview? Okay.
Well, it was half and half because we wanted to look good for the interview, one, and it was the same day. It was the port day where the guests embark. So we were scheduled to be the greeters of that day. So we wore these white, cruise director suits with white Mickey Mouse gloves to wave at people as they come in. So we were just head to toe in white tuxedo outfits. And she gets on the interview and she's like, wow, you guys really look impressive. We knew we looked kind of ridiculous, but it was kind of funny. It actually reminds me of the Step Brothers movie, because years later when that movie came out, that was like, oh, we look like the brothers trying to do an interview in tuxedos.
Oh, so. Yeah, that's right. Where one was sitting behind the other. Yeah. I remember. Yeah. Okay. So so you both ace the interview, you both get the job, and they both send you to Sandpiper, correct?
Yep. We both got hired for the kids clubs because of our backgrounds, and we both arrived in Sandpiper, and we actually had some suits on.
What? Wait a minute. You arrived wearing a suit?
Yeah. We both had. It
Why?
Wasn't like tuxedo suits. It was just like very head to toe, very well dressed.
It's funny because back in my day, they warned you, like people would warn you, do not wear a suit for your interview, do not show up at the, because you have to look like, hey, I'm easy going, I can go
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah.
So you showed up like nicely dressed.
It
Okay.
was nicely dressed. It wasn't anything like up, like snooty or like, oh, look at us. Like it was just like we felt overdressed
When
when
we
we
got,
arrived
yes,
because we
yes.
saw we saw everybody greet us and we were like looking at each other like, oh man, we probably overdid it
Yeah, so you
because
you saw
we
you saw a lot of Crocs and cargo shorts. I'm guessing that they
yeah,
were
yeah,
there,
yeah.
there to
Well, we
greet you.
came from
Okay.
the Disney cruise ship and we dressed up so much, it was very elegant style and very professional company. And we were like, okay, we gotta keep this going. And then
Nice.
so our manager at the time, her name was Devin, and I love Devin so much. She was so great, mini club manager. And we get out and she starts laughing. And we start laughing because I think we both knew we were like very like overly dressed. And I'm not trying to cuss on your podcast, but the first words from our manager as we stepped out, she's like, "What the F are you guys wearing?" and starts laughing. So it kind of made us actually not uncomfortable, actually the opposite. It made us more comfortable because it was that kind of banter, kind of fun, you know, attitude. So
Yeah. No, no, that's I'm glad to see in 2013, nothing had really changed because for a minute there, I thought they told you there was a dress code
no,
when you
no.
arrived, or someone was playing a very, very good prank on you.
Nah, we were just those two guys that we just wanted to be
Did you
professional.
did you think you were going to get sent to Sandpiper, or didn't really care? Like you just wanted to work somewhere, so it didn't bother you, because the old joke is that American geos get hired at Club Med. They're thinking Caribbean, Bahamas, and then you're going to Sandpiper.
Not at all.
Okay.
I think it was the opposite for me. I was excited to be hired in Florida. I was more excited because I saw a few of the places online that they had different locations, but I was kind of discouraged because there one of the stipulations for traveling was speaking French, and I was like, I'd never been out of the US before in my life. And also I was just grateful to go anywhere in the world. Like I told a lot of people, it was just like at the time I was just trying to find a home. Honestly, I was just trying to find work, trying to make a living, and trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted to do. So I thought this was the best stepping stone to figure that out.
Well, in Sandpiper's defense, like when you're not working on your day off, you can actually see a movie, and
Yeah,
go shopping. You could have a car. So in that regard,
yeah,
Sandpiper stands above all the others, where you
yeah.
can't even get a newspaper.
Well, it was another great experience. I got to live in Florida, and I didn't think I would do that. So
And
you want a funny story about me working in
yes,
Sandpiper? My first
yes,
story.
yep. Please, man, hit me.
My first season. So this is about working in Florida. I was very determined to keep busy. So I wanted to have a job on my day off. So
Oh God.
I love performing. I love to be, characters, and I love sports. So I contacted the Miami Dolphins when I knew that they were doing auditions for, like the flag runners on the field and mascots and stuff. Unfortunately, I couldn't do the mascot, but I got hired to do like a MC guy, outside in the parking lots to pump up the crowd, to like throw stuff out, and then also be on the field to do the flags and hype people up, by the touchdown areas. So on my day off, I asked my manager if I can have Sundays off just so I can drive all the way to Miami just for the game and only get paid $40 or $50, whatever it was. And of course, I rented a car, I bought gas, so I was losing money, but it was just that opportunity to like do something on my day off just to keep myself, I don't know, busy or
Okay.
experience the
I'm sorry.
world.
I'm sorry, Lance. I've to cut you off here. I can't believe what I'm hearing. So many questions. Okay, wait a minute. All right, so you're the only Geo who's ever said this in the history of Geo. So you wanted, in the old days there was no day off. So you said, you know
Yeah,
what,
yeah, yeah.
I just want to keep working. Okay, let me get this straight. I'm Canadian, but I know all about American tailgate parties. So you're saying you were
Yeah.
emceeing tailgate parties
Yeah,
where
yeah.
people are sometimes rowdy depending on who the visiting team is, and then okay, then you go. So yes, you rent the car, the gas, all at your own expense. And how long's the drive roughly from Sandpiper to Miami?
It's about at least an hour and 50 minutes, about an hour and 45, something like that.
Okay,
Yeah. Oh, it was, I
and your
couldn't keep it
manager
up.
agreed to this. She said, "Yep, no problem."
Yeah, at the manager at the time, it wasn't Devin. It was because the other manager actually came back. But I talked to him and I had to really, really convince him because he couldn't believe it either. I think he thought I was lying, maybe like
Well,
so I can
yeah,
just party with some friends on Sundays.
yes,
But I
yes,
told him, I
exactly.
said, man, this is dead serious. And I said, I got this job, and like who gets to work for the NFL, like just for fun on the, every week. Of course, I couldn't keep this up. So about halfway through the season, I told them, I said, I got guys, I can't do this anymore. So, but they understood, and it wasn't like a serious contracted job. It was just something fun, and they saw my talent to provide energy for people. So I was just like, I just can't keep losing money on my day off. So
Okay. Okay. Well, okay. So I thought you were going to say because of the amount of work involved and the the
no,
constraints on your time, but really
no,
it
no.
was a money issue that you stopped.
It, yeah, I couldn't,
Oh my god.
I couldn't keep
Okay.
renting cars and buying gas.
Oh my
It
god.
got to a point I was like, what am I doing?
There's so many old school geos right now. I know, like shaking their head in disbelief that you wanted another job on top of the already hard job that you had.
Yeah,
Okay.
I still do. I still need
See, this is a fun
that.
fact. I was explaining to you before the interview. There's fun facts everyone leaves out. So this, yeah, you failed to tell me this. Okay.
Oh yeah,
This is an incredibly fun
yeah.
fact, interesting
It just
fact
popped
about
up.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. All right. I don't know where we go from there. But thank you
Mm.
for sharing that
Yeah,
because
no worries.
that is wild. Hello. Okay. And now, did you tell jokes? Sorry, I have to go back to this. Did you tell jokes? How are you emceeing these, happy tailgaters? Like,
Oh man, the tailgate crowd.
did you ever get heckled?
I wouldn't MC as like somebody trying
Okay.
to tell stories or like jokes or
Okay.
anything. No, it was more like blast some music and shout on the mic, "Are you guys ready for football?" Da, 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 and just throw t-shirts and beads. And I had a big group around me, and these guys around me, I was just one on this little team of like say 10 guys, and these guys have been doing this type of job for over like 10 years, and they were like ex-college football players. So I'm this little guy around like 10 like big guys. So of course I don't think the crowd's gonna like heckle all these like big guys shouting.
Okay.
And we're just like we're being like, like these strong guys, like like so the crowds didn't get to us. It was just funny that I was the guy chosen for the microphone because I had microphone experience from the past. And I think the other guys just wanted just to have fun, probably have a drink. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and you probably never made the mistake of, I guess, telling them where you're from so they couldn't make fun of your team. Who's your NFL team
Oh,
again from St. Louis?
the St. Louis Rams.
That's
It
right, the Rams.
was.
So,
It
so
was.
you probably never dropped that little nugget on the mic, right? So
No, no, no.
okay, good.
Funny fact, I was the Rams mascot for one preseason game. That's
Oh,
why I was
oh,
interested to do NFL. Like,
oh, you were?
yeah, it was out of
Okay.
college and I was doing my substitute teaching, and I was like, oh, I was a mascot for my college. That's why.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. What was your mascot called?
I was a Viking. Yeah.
Okay.
It was the
All
Missouri
right.
Valley Vikings.
All right, this is so interesting. We haven't got through Sandpiper yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No. This is all gold. You're spinning gold here, Lance. Do you know this? So what okay, so your first season, did you make any like first season mistakes? Did you get any culture shock? Did you fit in right away? Did you understand
Mm,
everything? Did you know what crazy signs were? Did anyone tell you?
not at all. That was my culture shock. It was the culture of Club Med. Being around international people or doing the work, no problem. It was the Club Med culture. I did not know what it was, and it freaked me out the first night because my manager they said, come, go to your room, unpack, have dinner together, and then you two guys come to the bar and see what we do at night. I was like, okay. We get to the bar, and they started doing crazy signs, and I look at my friend Eric, and I look at him. I said, man, I think I think I'm gonna go. Like I was like, I think I'm gonna quit. That's how I was half playing around, but half I was like, it just I just didn't know what was going on and if I could put on a charade like that. But I was half playing, so we were at the bar, we were talking to all the GOs because of course they want to know our story. But the next day, we get in the crowd of GOs, we start doing the dancing, and I'm feeling good because I'm a dancer. I love dancing. And it's not like showing off dance. It's not I'm a choreographer dancer. It's just I just love music and I love dancing and I see the people around me and the guests around me just having a good time. So I kind of ease into it. And then the next day I'm on the stage. And then the week later, I'm leading the crazy sign, not on the microphone, but that eventually, like a couple of weeks later, I am on the microphone and I continuously do that. So I just kind of found that niche that they were looking for. They needed somebody with no shame to be on the mic and dress up in costumes. And our first night, we saw that crazy sign, but then the choreographer, Fernando, he asked us to come to the rehearsal that night. And it was our first night at Club Med. And I said yes, because that was the only reason I accepted to be in Club Med so I can do the shows. So I did the rehearsal and he asked me, he's like, Lance, I saw you do the crazy sign. Can you do a Michael Jackson? And I was like, yeah. And then I did it. And the whole GO team, they're like, okay, he's going to do Michael Jackson for sure. So I just kind of felt easy because they liked my energy and enthusiasm and that I wanted to participate. So after that first night of like, where am I just kind of like, you know what? This is somewhere that maybe they need somebody like me. So I just felt comfortable after that.
Well, at the beginning of the interview, you said you were somewhat shy and introverted. So the big difference we know between the cruise ships is and Club Med, you are not allowed to eat with the guests on the cruise ships, but at
Yeah.
Club Med you do. So
Yeah.
did you find that at the beginning, like having to talk to all these strangers, a bit overwhelming, or is that something you just grew into?
No, I didn't find it overwhelming at all. I just kind of I I just joined the lifestyle. I asked a lot of questions what I can and cannot do because I was terrified of losing my job. I did not want to get in trouble for anything. The difference between Club Med and wherever in the world, but especially Disney, is the rules. I on the interview for Club Med, I asked if I can do this. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to eat with the guest. I wanted to drink with the guest. Well, I wasn't even a big drinker neither. I just wanted to socialize because you cannot do that on the cruise ships. You cannot be yourself. You have to be a character. So when I was in Club Med and I started asking everybody questions, I said, I can really be like shirtless in front of kids. If that was on Disney, I'd get fired immediately. It was, but is that culture, that European culture is just like, no, you're not doing anything wrong. You're playing a character, you're like we were in the shows, doing circus shows. Or I was with the kids. I was the teen club supervisor. So they expected me to jump in the pool with the kids. If you're a Disney counselor, you can't do that. You can't be shirtless jumping in the pool. It's just it just kind of blew my mind. So I just after 2 months of asking so many questions, I really, really found my groove of what I could do.
Lance, roughly how much time did you spend at Sandpiper?
I spent 1 year and then I took a small break and then I did another half year, I believe.
Okay, so was it because of all that time in a family village you requested Turks and Caicos, or they sent you to Turks and Caicos your
They
next
sent me to
season?
Turks and Caicos. Yeah.
Okay, now did you know it was a singles resort?
After working in Sandpiper, yes, I've heard about it.
Okay, okay. So you go there. Chief of Village is Julien Letraz,
Yes.
and you do both here. I think you do like your head of animation and sports. Is that right?
I started as animation manager and then it became eventually sports manager, then sports and animation manager both together during my time there.
Okay, what was that like?
It was great. Honestly, I love Turks. When everybody asks me what my favorite village is, it's Turks and Caicos. I think because I've spent so much time there throughout the years, I know the island the locals, and just that environment. I mean, it's unbeatable. I think I do like the adults, only kind of resorts where it's just very, very laid back, beautiful sand, beautiful water. And I've got memories. That's the biggest one, the memories.
Any of those memories include JoJo the dolphin?
It does, yeah. I've swam with JoJo. I've seen JoJo pop out of the boat with my family and friends. So it's JoJo's a big part of it. Yeah.
Oh, so he was nice enough to come when your family came to visit you?
Yeah, we
That's
were on a sunset cruise and he just came out.
oh nice.
Yeah, you can recognize him for sure. All the scratches on him and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah, I can't believe like he was there at my first season in '94. I can't believe that
Mhm.
that mammal's still alive. Good lord.
Yeah, yeah.
We should all
The
live so
legend of
long.
JoJo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should all live as long as a dolphin, I think. Okay.
Hmm.
So what can you tell me about that season? Anything in particular? Any anecdotes or
Oh man,
good memories?
there's so many memories. There honestly, it's just, and then sometimes I get the years mixed up. Sometimes I don't. I think it's maybe the first time I was there, but it was like the third time I was there because the memories just it just mashes up together.
Yeah, that's
Uh
right. Yeah, you did a total of the Turks three times. So
yeah.
I guess you saw a lot of like by your third time you saw a lot of returning guests because other than
Yeah.
Columbus Isle, I know that a lot you get so many returning guests to Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, the returning guests are a big part of the memories. It is. It feels like family coming to see you. Especially I don't come from a big family, so when I see all these these characters come back, it's just like wow, it's a flood of memories and good feelings, and then they invite you to dinner, and you actually sometimes invite them to dinner because you just know what to expect, and it's good times.
I was going to say this Club Med Turks is so popular. It has its own Facebook group started by
Mm.
GMs. Shout out Wendy West. She's one of the administrators. They have over
Yep,
10,000 members. Are you a member of the group?
I am. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see. I
Okay.
see Wendy's posts many times. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is crazy. This is not GOs that started this.
Mm.
It's GM. So that you won't see that anywhere else. So that's how much people love that Club
Yeah.
Med, that resort.
Yeah, no, it's for me. It's like family, like a one team. This is the guests, it's the GOs, the GEs, everybody all together. I know that we're there for the job. I know the guests are there for a vacation, but honestly, it's I'm telling you, I'm telling everybody. Everybody knows the same thing. Club Med's different from any type of place. So yeah.
So how does it happen that, and I guess, it's really your second season that somehow you get to like Japan your next season? It's a kind of an odd trajectory. Like they send you to Sahoro. Now, did you ask to go to outside the zone to Asia?
No, not at all. While I was in Turks, I was in the key chief of manager position at the time. So if they wanted me to continue to be a high level manager, actually, no, I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. You can cut this part out.
No, no problem. No problem. It's all gold. Okay.
So I did not choose to go to Sahoro. I was a part of the key RDS. It's called to be, or actually key chief of village process. That's what it was. So they had a plan rollout for most of the girls and guys who wanted to be a chief of village. I actually didn't really want to be. I was just kind of pushed into all this. I guess they saw the potential. So they had me on this roadmap. And one of the things where you had to go out of the zone. So being in the Asia zone, it's a great experience. And right away, I said yes. I didn't even think about it. If they want to send me anywhere, I'm going to go. I was kind of, I didn't know that Japan had a Club Med in the mountains. I've never been to a ski resort in my life or mountains in my life. So they asked me to go to the summer season and it doesn't even snow. So I just, there's a lot of questions going on. But it was a great season and I'm so lucky I did it. I met so many great GOs and yeah, and I love Japan now.
Okay, yeah. Tell me a bit about the chief of village, Jenny Lee, because I don't know this one. Where was she from? Is she from
Yeah,
China?
Jenny. No, Jenny Lee. She's actually from South Korea,
South
and
Korea. Okay, South
yeah, yeah,
Korea.
yeah.
Okay,
And
she
then
must be one of the only Korean chief of villages that I'm guessing, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
Okay.
unless there's brand new ones, I
Yeah,
think.
because you
Yeah,
left in 2023, so yes, there could have
yeah.
been Weinhardt. So, any culture shock when you arrived to Asia? Like, I know it's your first time in Asia, so
Yeah, the culture shock is big. It is. The obvious ones, you can't really read the places that you're going to. It's hard to communicate. Now when I recently been to Japan, you have, the applications on your phone and it's a little bit easier. But at that time, I had to learn a lot. And they do a good job at Club Med to kind of help the internationals kind of learn. And then you're tied in with a lot of international people who don't speak Japanese anyways. But it was just those little small details you had to figure out. Like if it gets cold, I'm putting my hands in my pockets, in my coat pocket, walking. But while we were walking outside, one of the managers says, Lance, that's very disrespectful for your hands to be in your pockets. I was like, what? And I thought maybe people are playing jokes on me because certain reasons, but I fell for some things, I guess. But my biggest factor about who I am, I'm very outside the box type of person. I love common sense and I love just to have that freedom. But then there, I really, really had to try hard to conform. And that's difficult for me to conform because I love just doing what I feel is right. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't want to hurt anybody. But if I do something small, I'm like, what's the problem? I like to ask questions. I'm like, why can't I do this, guys? So I had to follow some rules, and that comes with, doing the shows and the parties, and I'm very outside the box. I come from Turks and Caicos. I want to do some crazy, weird stuff. But luckily, the chief of village, they pretty much encourage that outside the box type of things. It's just working with the Japanese culture. You really, really want to be all you can be for them because they do a lot for you. It's called omotenashi. They really go out of their way to make other people feel comfortable and respected. So I learned that and I wanted to instill that and make sure that my team felt good about who I was because I was their manager. So, yeah.
And I'm guessing the guy that wanted to have a part-time job along with his full-time job took it upon himself to learn Japanese. Like you probably learned like at the end of the night or something, right? Like you probably started writing out maybe phrases, learning them phonetically at first. Is that how you started, or did you start another way?
That's how I started. Yeah, I repetition of the phrases, the most common ones. So I felt like a robot, sort of, repeating the same normal phrases that I know. Luckily, a lot of people don't know that Japanese is actually easier language in Asia zone to speak than others because
Yes.
you don't need to go different tones to do different words. It's just very straightforward. They don't use a lot of description for phrases. It's just very simple, and I could get by with simple. So it was okay. Yeah.
And was it because of your experience aboard Disney Cruises that you got sent on the Club Med 2 in 2017?
I think that was a big reason. Yes. Funny thing was when we were all in Morocco, all the potential chief of village, we did this whole like training throughout the week. And then the last night, the organizer for all the chief of villages, where she designated everybody, we did this dinner. She stood everybody up and did a speech for everybody. Like this guy, he's going to Opio, and everybody's clapping, laughing, and this and that. And then they saved me for last, and I'm like, what is going on? And she's like, Lance, can you walk in a straight line for me? And she's like, okay, I just wanted to test your balance because you're going back on a cruise ship, and everybody was like freaking out because, like, yeah, if you can do the Club Med too, you can do a lot of villages, so it's a real big test on the Club Med too.
Did you like
And
it?
yeah, for sure. It was a tough season for me. I'm not gonna lie. And I did take a break after that season because I knew I did not want to be a chief of village. That was a kind of a test for me to even see if I really wanted that. And I do want it in some ways to have that responsibility and be that general manager, be that leader. But we don't have to get into that right now. But
No, 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 no.
um,
Everyone, everyone has their, makes their own choice, and
yeah,
you know,
but
uh,
I did like it. It was wow. What an experience.
It's beautiful, right? Like, because I always said when I was in Club Med, I never wanted to go aboard. I never wanted to do this ship ever. I never asked for it until one day I was in the Port of Bodrum and we were invited, to
Hmm.
go aboard it. And I saw it for the first time in the flesh and I changed my whole view. Like, I couldn't believe how opulent it was.
Well, great.
And
Yeah.
I mean,
I tell you, it was beautiful.
I changed my mind. You like, I said, oh, I think I could do a season here because
Yeah.
it was just so beautiful to me. So I don't know if you thought that as well.
Yes. Yes. Coming from a cruise ship, I was like, oh, I already did a cruise ship. Da, da, da. I was being very, not humble of myself at the moment because I was like, oh, I've already had that experience. But no, I did not because I did the summer in the Mediterranean and it is amazing. Like you wake up every single day in a different port on a different island, a different country, and it looks like a Disney movie every day you wake up. It's like houses on these mountains and the most beautiful glistening water, and the back of the ship opens up and you can do water ski with the geo teams. And I'm like, you go off port. I went to Rome. I went to Greece. I went to all these beautiful places that you see like on the desktop computer when it, it does that screensaver. I've
Yes.
been to these places. So I I'm so lucky that I was the one chosen to do that. And I tell everybody that all the time. And the Geo team that worked on that cruise ship, wow, there's a reason that they all work on that ship because they are dedicated. They are so into being with the guests. They're funny. And you know what's funny? There is no day off on the cruise ships, any cruise ship in the world. So they are dedicated. Yeah.
Well, they send you from one beautiful location to another because then you go to my favorite place in the whole wide world where I did 2.5 years, Columbus Isle in the Bahamas,
Oh,
beautiful
yes.
Columbus. You're back with Julien Letraz as chief of
Yes.
village. And
Yes.
yeah, but so before you tell me about that position you created, what were your first impressions of Columbus?
Oh, I say Turks is my favorite resort, but I think I had my best seasons in the Bahamas. I did a year there. So my first impression was, wow, it's so beautiful. Like this small little Club Med on a rock. It's amazing. Oh, funny story. Funny story. The small little airport, correct? The
Yes,
smallest airport in the world.
yes.
So I get off of the airplane, walk in the airport. I look, to my left on the wall is a picture of me. It's crazy. Why
What?
is there a picture of me on the wall of the airport in the Bahamas? But I realized I took a picture with their local basketball team that visited Sandpiper to do like a team game, the Geos versus their basketball team. So, anyways, I was like, wow, like I feel very humbled being
Oh,
having my photo at the
I thought
airport.
I thought you were some known smuggler and they were looking out for you.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that's where this story was going.
No,
Okay, so
it was a good newspaper title. That's what it was.
well, come on, how wild is that? Are you
That's
serious?
wild.
That
It's
was
wild.
2013, and now we're in
Yeah,
2018. Good
yeah,
lord,
yeah.
that's pretty
Yeah,
incredible.
that is pretty cool.
And you must
That
have
is,
liked the shortest ride from any airport to the village, right? I mean, nothing gets shorter
yeah,
than Columbus. We used to joke and tell the GMs it's a half hour, and then a minute later we
yeah.
roll in.
It was a
But
great bus ride for sure.
okay,
Yeah.
so I'm chomping at the bit to ask you about
Yes,
this
let's do
this
this.
this position here, chief happiness manager. So you get this idea, so then you approach the chief of village. Now,
Yeah.
if I come in that village as an XGO and I saw that on your badge, or if you told me that was what you did, I would have watched you like a hawk. This is true. Like, what is this chief happiness manager? So before anyone gets any idea, so yeah, for those GOs who are I'm talking to the older GOs that don't know, can you tell me a bit about this?
Yes. A little right before I going to the Bahamas was different experience for me because I left Club Med for a little bit and Julian Latrez asked me to come back as event manager. And I was a little put off. I was like, maybe I need a little bit more time away. And he kept calling me back. And then I was like, you know what? I could do a few months in the Bahamas because he just asked me for one season, one small season. So I just went there with the idea I'm gonna be the animation manager, do the shows and do the parties with him because that he's a very big party and show guy. And we're like brothers. Honestly, we are. I have so much to say about Juju. Okay, so we're doing the shows, we're doing the parties, And I feel for 1 month, just this just pour of, renaissance, like a re-life, was like some new blood inside of me that wanted to do something different in Club Med. Because I came back with the purpose of just having fun with no responsibilities. But I had this overwhelming responsibility inside of me. I wanted to do something. And I knew what I wanted to do because I started seeing all these young GOs. And all I wanted to do was give back to the GOs. All I wanted to do is make sure that they're having a good time, because it stopped being about me, and I wanted to do something for the team. So I just played around with the idea back and forth with the chief of village, because he was, of course, like every chief of village, they want retention. They have a lot of, responsibilities behind the scenes with success rates. So he's always saying, how do we get, the teams that, they want to eat with the guests, they want to do the shows, they want to do the parties. And my response always is, let's just make the team happy. Let's have some fun. And I have that great relationship with this chief of village that he is so open to just hear anything I have to say, even if it's something that doesn't sound encouraging to him or about his village or his vision. I tweak it to just, try to focus on the little guy a little bit more, because it's a big task to be with those guests that go to Columbus, Ohio. They are very demanding. So I don't want the GO teams to feel such, like, oh, I got to see these guests, or, I don't want that feeling. So they have to be looked at as rock stars. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to treat the GO team like with high respect. I wanted to make sure that everybody felt great about what they were doing. So I organized myself, which I normally don't do. I'm not that organized, but I did. I started putting everything on paper, and I had a presentation for Juju. He looked it over, and he needed a presentation for the office. He needed to do something new for Club Med. I think all the chief of villages had some homework to do. So everybody had their own little homework assignment, like to build something new to make their village like a one team spirit, with the GEs, the GOs. So I just kind of organized myself, and I said, I'll take on this responsibility as chief of happiness role. I know it sounds like rainbows, butterflies, this kind of a joke type of thing, where somebody who just parties all the time, because it's not an animator. I was an animator. I didn't tell you that, but in Sandpiper, I did that for 6 months, was an animator position. Anyways, going back to that, chief of happiness, it was somebody who could be a leader. So be an example for the village life between the GOs and the GEs, a liaison, so a link between the managers and their employees. So I was pretty much an assistant to the chief of village. So I can actually have that, not authority, but that kind of respect with the managers, where I can be like, okay, I've been meeting with your teams, or I've been putting my ear to the ground. This is what I think, so I was that link, because a lot of team members may be a little afraid to talk to the chief of village or their personal manager. So I wanted to be that kind of comfort guy, So also it comes with assessing. So I determined what the chief of village wanted and how the direction could be for that season. So all I had to do was lead the team with no stress. And then creating the culture, just that togetherness. So I did some team buildings. I did parties for the team. I did videos. That's a huge one. I should talk about with Juju. Me and Juju, our big success was doing videos for Club Meds. And that wraps with the GOs and the GMs. And then ultimately, it's just the empowerment. So coaching, counseling, if anybody needed some recognition, we did like team member, like, the GO of the month type of thing, but like more in detail. So there was a lot to learn from my side. And it took me to Turks and Caicos to do that again. And then after COVID, I did it again in Sandpiper. After Sandpiper, I did it again in Turks and Caicos with another chief of village, because they needed that kind of person to take a lot of that stress from their side, because the chief of village now is not a chief of village from a long time ago. The chief of villages now they have a lot of work to do in the offices. So there needs to be that face of the village for the guests, but also for the team, so the team can to be led. So, oh, I know that's a lot of words. Sorry.
Oh, when this position was created, were there did other resorts adopt them of Club Med? Were there other chief happiness managers, or
Not at
was it
all.
just
No.
okay? So because I see that, yeah, you went to Turks and Caicos, so
Yeah.
Juju takes you with him, so you're
Yeah.
also you're doing animation and chief happiness manager.
Well,
You do the
mm,
same in Sandpiper too with Sophie, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So with that presentation that he did with all the other chief of villages around, of course, any kind of new idea comes with some pushback, you know. So there's chief of villages, they're perfectly fine being the chief of village and being that chief of happiness for their teams. Some chief of villages need it, but some chief of villages don't have that GO that wants to do it. So it's just, you know, it's just kind of that you need to be the right person at the right time with the right chief of village. That's exactly what it came down to. The offices loved it. Juju loved it because of the scores that we got. It was a success, but honestly, not a lot of places need it. And I've talked to Hammer in the Miami office the same thing about this. I was like, I know this is my position, but you know, this is how I feel. Maybe not everybody needs this position because, you know, this, that, and the other, but it could be very effective for somebody who really needs that for their village. So if there's anybody out there listening, and if somebody wants to really make an impact, there's a good way to do it. You just have to do it the right way. And my way was the no strings attached way. I didn't want any hidden agenda from HR pulling me. It was like I was really, really focused on hearing, listening to the GEs and the GOs. The GEs was very difficult to make happy. I'm not going to lie because it comes down with money. But for the GOs, I think I really put a dent in people's experience. So hopefully.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, and as I mentioned, you follow Columbus, you go back to Turks for your second time, you go back to Sandpiper again for your second time, then Turks. So now you're with a new chief of village. You're with Shira.
Yeah, sure.
Then you go to Asia. You finish out with Asia. Your last two seasons, you go to Kabira and Sahoro. So what was Kabira like?
Kabir was hot.
Oh, was
It
it? Okay.
was the
Okay, good.
humidity
Okay.
is something I've never experienced before.
Oh,
It
really?
was
Okay.
so hot and it rained a lot at the time I was there.
Oh God, what was your
So
okay, please tell me what your rainy day program was like. I
oh
hated it,
my
but what
goodness.
did you have going on? You must have worked triple time, right?
Oh, it was every day rainy day program and it
Oh
killed
God.
me,
Oh God, yeah, it takes it
you
out of
know.
you.
Yeah. And then on top of that, this is they directly after COVID and they just I was
Oh,
the very first international GO to come to Japan
oh
after
wow.
COVID. And there was a
Okay.
lot of pressure. And you know, everybody had to wear masks. And this is not like oh, okay, we're doing masks just for, you know, photos or for the look of it. This was dead serious stuff. So it was difficult. And then there was no international guests. So it was only Japanese guests. So it was like, it was a different experience that I've had, but it was still fun.
What's it like doing a marathon crazy science session, a mask in the heat?
I could do it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have experience being a mascot for so many years and putting costumes on.
Oh,
I
that's
had no problem.
true. Yes,
And
you're right.
I don't really sweat too much. And it's funny, a lot of people always look at me because I do crazy signs like crazy or I do the shows, but I don't sweat too much. So I found it okay. And funny thing was, you know, everybody's wearing the typical white mask, you know, and I had to as well. I need to have my glow mask on because I want to be the theme of the night. So everybody has their white mask, but I have my white mask, but I have the black and glow mask over that. So I have double the mask. And it's not for my health. I was just like, I just wanted to, you know, make the GM smile. You know, I wanted to make them like, oh man, he's really doing the theme tonight, you know, so, because I'm in charge of the theme. Yeah.
Yeah, and you said you earlier you said that you and Juju are brothers, and I'll say it looks like you did five villages with him,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
And I guess so. And when you were in Kabira, he asked you if you wanted to go to Sahara with him.
Exactly. I wouldn't have been in Kabira or Sahara if it wasn't for him. I arrived to Kabira before him, so I had to teach him all the Japanese stuff. He's never been to Japan before. But then, yeah, he asked me to go to Sahara because we were doing a great comeback season for Sahara. And right away, the office, they're like, we need somebody to open up Sahara, because Sahara was closed this whole time for COVID. So they didn't even reopen for like 2.5 years or something. They knew I worked in Sahara before. They said, Juju, it looks like you guys would be a good fit to go together. And we did. Yeah. And a lot of the Geo team is not used to that kind of team collaboration with Geo, like a Geo manager and the chief of village as like big kids, and that's what we are. We're like big kids with the Geo teams. Like we want to be a family. It's like we want to be at home, so we want to make sure that they're laughing at us. So we put on costumes, and a big thing we do videos, and just kind of lightheartedness. As long as we're doing professional, responsible, we can still be lighthearted. So that's kind of the theme that we kind of stuck with.
I forgot to ask you this when we spoke about your first season in Sahara in 2016, and because we talked about crazy signs. So when I did my year in Asia, the most insane, lovable, funny, crazy signs I've ever seen in my life are Asian crazy signs, and they're so different from the North American. So were you kind of, and they're funny too, like the movements are all like, I must have busted a gut the first time I saw some Asian crazy signs, and I loved them, and I took them to the American zone. So did you recall when you first went to Sahara, like how different the crazy signs were?
Yeah, yeah. There was a few, and a few I love doing. And the funny thing was that a lot of the Asian guests and the GOs, they love the North American crazy signs as well, or the European ones.
God, I'm afraid to
So
even I'm afraid to even ask. So I'm so out of it. Like, so in 2016, what were the I guess the hot North American like crazy signs? Like it's probably some I don't even know, right? Like
oh, She Bangs is a huge one.
they're still doing She Bangs.
Oh man,
Wow.
that's one of my go-tos. I love doing She Bangs.
Really?
Yeah.
She Bangs is
Yeah.
going to be like YMCA. They're going to keep doing it over and
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay.
exactly. But yeah, the Japanese ones are cool, man. There's one that's called Orion Beer. I love it. It's so slow and it's like dum 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 dum. It's like, but it's so cute. It's just like everybody's like, oh, I kampai. They all drink the beer together.
Oh, really?
Sakura Rumble, I Moko Yoko. And like it's just like it's fun. Like you can tell that they get so excited when you play the Japanese ones and you're the American on the microphone doing it. They're like, yeah, look. And, it's just like, they're doing my sign.
Well, speaking of, I guess after all this time in Japan, I'm assuming like what Sahara, your last season in 2022, 2023, your Japanese must have gotten really good, right?
No, no.
What do you mean now?
Not really.
You wouldn't say
No,
you wouldn't say you're fluent yet?
not fluent, but I picked up some things for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I gotten better and I've gotten more confident. That's key to do is just be confident just to do you got to be confident to do what's it called? Sorry, we can cut this out too. What is it called? The accent. Okay.
Oh yes, the
So
accent.
yeah, so it just takes doing the accent. You have to be confident in doing that because they understand you more if you do the accent. So it's not disrespectful or you're making fun of them. You just sound what they're used to. Right when I do that, they understand immediately. They're like, oh yeah. So that's the biggest thing. I just got comfortable doing accents and little words and phrases. Yeah.
Do you ever meet any celebrities in any of your villages that you recognized?
Oh man, celebrities. Man, I
Like,
don't
but
think.
that you knew
Oh,
who they were, or
yeah. In Sandpiper, we did a rental village. Rick Springfield did a buyout and he got all his fans out there and he did a few concerts throughout the week. And I met
really?
Rick
Rick,
Springfield. Yeah.
Rick Springfield bought out like Sandpiper for his
Yeah,
fans.
it was incredible, man. That's wow, crazy experience.
Wow. General
Yeah.
Hospital, Rick Springfield, Human Touch, Jesse's Girl. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jesse's Girl, man. Well, everybody wanted to listen to Jesse's Girl that week.
Yeah. But please say you made a crazy sign to that, Lance. Okay.
I was a
That
mini
would be
celebrity.
an easy one. Da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da.
I, I was the mini celebrity that week. That all of his fans knew who I was by the end of the week because I was the guy on the microphone. Because after his concert, I was like, "Let's party, guys!" We just partied for like 5 hours straight. And yeah, it was
Wow,
cool.
Sandpiper? That's pretty good.
It was great. Yeah, and then other celebrities, I don't really, man, I
Well,
don't think
I'm sure
so.
you met some in Asia, but like again, if you don't know who that Japanese actor is, then
Mm,
because it was me with the French too. I wouldn't recognize who Thierry Lhermitte was, but every other French person knew who that was. So
yeah, I'm sure I met people. I just don't. My memory's kind of bad
Oh,
with
no problem. No problem.
yeah.
Okay. So, Lance, after about 10 years, you must have met a lot of people. So, I'm just curious. I know you mentioned Juju a lot. Are there any others that you really enjoyed working with?
Oh man, honestly, I'm gonna feel so bad because I know I'm gonna miss out on some people, but that's the reason I love working at Club Med was because of the people, the GOs, the GMs, the GEs. But for sure, I need to give big shout outs to, like some of the people I've been with for a long time, So like I said, Eric, like we started together, and then funny enough, Loic is great, TJ, me, TJ, Loic, Juju, we had such a great time. Sophie Valancourt, she's from Montreal. She is one of the people I was like my sister in Club Med. I loved working with her, and we had so much fun singing together. Harrison, sports manager, now he's doing LSM, and I think he's going to be chief of village very soon. Love Harry. And Yudi, I love Yudi, my Asian team out there with Rivan, Nico, Coco, Fernando, choreographer. Man, there's so many. Oh, also Larry. I can't forget about Larry. I got him hired, and he's like one of my brothers from St. Louis. Man, and then Swan. Like we have so many people on my list, and then also Melody for sure. So, and my chief of village, except for Juju, David Mayer. David Mayer was such an inspiration for my first season. He's the one that kind of inspired me to be professional and just keep focused. And he let me be an animator. And then right when I was an animator, I knew what my purpose was in Club Med. And that was just to, make people smile. That was it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to name everyone. So please
Mm.
don't send Lance angry emails, listeners. Okay, he loves and misses you all. I know that for a fact. Yeah, I wanted to ask you next. Like you just, we're recording this when we're recording it, sometime in August 2023, and you just, recently stopped working for Club Med. But usually my question is there anything you miss about Club Ed? So have you had time to think about what you missed or not yet?
Well, yeah. I mean, I did leave Club Med a few times for those breaks, and I didn't even know if I was coming back. So all of those feelings are mutual between all the geos. We all feel that rush of sensation that we need of that, that missing of Club Med. Of course, I miss doing the shows. I love doing the shows. I black out doing the shows because I feel like that's my true self sometimes. I just feel like I'm energy when I'm just doing the shows or doing the parties, doing characters. I'm just having a good time. So that's what I miss the most. But I think I'm going to start being creative in different ways throughout the future. I miss the team. The team is the biggest part as well. The guests. I mean, it's just everything's kind of just falls into place when you work at Club Med. It's just a big formula of living life and working at the same time.
Yeah, you sound like you don't have any regrets, like you would do it all over again, correct?
No, I have zero regrets. I'm lucky enough to do it, and it became a part of my life. I really tried to fight it at the beginning to be a GO, to really give into that life. I just was so focused on always doing something else in the future. I was like, oh, okay, this is not my life. But ultimately, it became my life. It is a part of my life. It's a part of my history, a part of who I am. It's going to be my family and friends throughout life. Those Club Med GOs and some GMs. So I would never regret doing what I did.
Well, Lance, this has been incredible so far. But before I let you go, I mean, I know it's hard to condense 10 years into an hour, but I wouldn't want to let you go unless there's something that I haven't asked you or you wanted to say. Please, by all means, tell me if there's something I forgot to ask you.
For me, it's just, a big shout out, big thank you to all the GO team and all the GEs and the GMs, and especially the GOs who participated in the lifestyle that I try to, like bring to the Club Meds, which is the shows and the guests that come to see the shows. Like some of my favorite shows got to be the Music Hits show. And then also me and Juju, we created this show called Spy Club. We got to do our own type of spinoff using the video screens and really cool dynamics. And then also I just want to just tell all if there's new geos out there that are listening to this, just be yourself, be confident, and you came into this world, and if you decide to commit, and you'll just have the best times of your life, and you will actually find success for the future if you commit and you have treat everybody with kindness and respect. And for all the OGs out there, the geos that came before me, I have such great respect for everybody out there. Trust me when I say your stories do not die. When I was doing all my years in Club Med, all I kept hearing from the guests are the stories, the names that kept coming up. And you guys are a huge part of Club Med's story and success. And I hope you guys find, some great, solitude in life and feel like you made a difference in somebody's life, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have the life I had, because there will be no Club Med without the Geos. So thank you guys.
You must have heard some stories too, I'll bet. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a famous quote by Dr. Seuss, and I always likened it to working in Club Med. I just want to see if you agree with it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I read this quote once by Dr. Seuss, Lance, and I kind of made the connection between Club Med. When we leave Club Med, it's hard to leave at first. So I just want to know if you'd agree with the sentiment of this quote. So Dr. Seuss said, about anything really, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. So would you agree with that sentiment?
100%. Yeah. I don't get too emotional. Yeah, I kind of look for the future, and I kind of already know that things are going to end. So I try to focus on the moment, because I know it's not going to last long. So yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's right. Whenever I'd walk in Columbus, and I would, we'd walk from the geo rooms on the path, I'd always tell myself, take it in, take it in, take it in,
Mm-hmm.
this is
Mm-hmm.
not always going to be there. So yeah, I always forced myself to watch that sunset or
Exactly. Yeah. No,
sunrise.
you're right.
All right. Wow. This has been amazing, Lance. I want to thank you so much for sharing your story with us here today.
No, thank you, Greg. Honestly, this is something I never do. I never talk about myself. So thank you for getting me out of my shell. I know I'm very out there in Club Med world, but if there's a lot of guests and geos that know me, they know I don't normally talk about myself. I like to show off in the shows, but I don't know. But this has been very enlightening for me to have this reflection. And when you contacted me before, it brought up a lot of memories and emotions, and it helped me kind of focus that, I'm like, okay, this is a good kind of ending, but never say never. Club Med always pulls me back in somehow, but no.
Yeah, they're going to get you when it starts snowing. When it starts snowing
Yeah.
outside, and if you're still in St. Louis, expect that call. And please do
Yeah,
it for all
I
do it for all
expect
of us. Go back to Turks, Lance.
I love Turks. Yeah. But
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you. And would you like to say goodbye to all our listeners and all your friends listening?
Yeah, goodbye out there, everybody. Much love, peace, love, and happiness. That's what it's all about. Yeah, thank you.
Well, everyone, that was the one and only Lance Weinhardt, and we thank you, sir. And we'll see you all next week for another installment of My First Season. Bye, everyone.